Hi, my name's David Breckin Payne, and today I'm going to show you how to create a logo burn reveal. Okay, so let's have a little look at what we're going to be creating. Okay, cool. So if we go into After Effects and you want to create a new composition settings want to be 1920 by 1080 full HD, 29.97 frames per second, and your time code duration of 5 seconds. Hit OK. Right, first off, we just want to create a simple background for our logo to sit on. That's completely up to you. I'm just going to make something quick and simple. So what I'm going to do is create a new solid, and you can press Ctrl+Y. I'm going to name this BG for background. I'm going to come across to effects and presets, and I'm going to type in ramp. So first thing first, with the ramp effect, we want to drop down to 33% so we can see outside of the active camera window, and we want to take the start of ramp point of interest, and you just want to select top left corner just out of window, and again we want to do the same for the end of ramp point of interest and just go outside of the bottom right window. Now we want to change the colour. I've got a colour in mind already, like a dark blue. D2D33. Okay. Next thing we want to apply to that, if you are following this background that I'm creating, we want to turn the complexity down for something like this. It's only to just blend it, give it a bit of texture, as it were. We want to come down to the transform. We want to scale it up to say 300, and we want to change the blending mode to soft light. Brilliant. So as you can see, it's just giving it a little bit of texture, so it doesn't just look like a flat colour. Lastly, just give that a bit of blending. So if we add fast blur, let's go to your effects presets channel, type in fast blur, and if you get your layer selected, double click the effect and it'll apply it to the effects panel. Now first things first, repeat edge pixels, and we want to blur this out to about 200%. Now it's just giving it more of a two-tone look rather than a simple plain background. Great. So the next thing is apply your logo. None of this is any good if we have no logo. So let's put our logo into the composition above the background layer. Now for me this isn't a transparent background, so if you have the same problem, go across to your effects and presets, type in invert, oh no, not sorry, invert, color key, and apply that to the layer. Get your color pick whip tool, select the black. Now I don't know if you can see, but there's just slight black lines inside of the logo still, so we're going to just push that threshold forward just before the logo disappears. So I'd say about 30. Brilliant. So for anyone that's had to do the same as me, let's just layer and pre-compose our logo. Again, name it logo. Right, next thing is to create the basic transition, the start of the animation of it swiping on and off. So let's create a new solid, press Ctrl+Y. We'll name this wipe, and we'll hit OK. Now if we come over to the right to the effects and presets channel, type in linear, and we want to apply the linear wipe to the wipe layer. Now from the start of the composition on your timeline, we want to turn up the transition completion to 100%, turn the stopwatch on, move forward about 4 seconds, and we want to set that back to 0. Now obviously we want to go with the motion of a fire going up the screen, give it more of a 3D feel. So what we're going to do is, if we just come to about here so we can kind of see what we're doing, and we're going to change the angle of the wipe angle. We turn this down to about here. and then feather your image out about 45 pixels. There we go. And there's the start of our transition for the Fireburn logo. So let's right click our wipe layer and pre-compose, and we'll name this linear wipe. Now press Ctrl Y again to create a new solid, and we're going to call this noise. Hit OK. We're going to come over to the right. We're going to type in fractal noise. Select the fractal noise, drop that onto the noise layer, and again right click, pre-compose, and we're going to name this fractal noise. Yeah, okay. Now we're going to turn off our fractal noise for a second. We're going to go back to our linear wipe, and we're going to apply this fractal noise layer to the linear wipe. Now right now we can't, so we need to apply something that can read that data. So if we go to displace and we apply a displacement map onto the linear wipe, and our first thing off, we need to change the displacement map layer to fractal noise. Now turn this off to 0, and we want to turn up the vertical displacement to about 55. Great. Now just below in the effects panel, below displacement map is turbulent displace. Grab that and apply that above. Now this is important to apply above the displacement map. Now we want to turn up our amount to up to 85, and we turn the size to 65. Now what we need to do is pre-compose these two layers together. So select linear and fractal, so hold shift and select, go layer, pre-compose, and we're going to name this transition. Now we need to get the logo layer. We need to press Ctrl D, which is duplicating the layer, and the top layer, logo layer, we'll name logo reveal, and the second we'll call logo burn. And what we want to do is turn our toggle switches modes and turn our logo reveal to Luma matte. Now what we want to do is select your logo burn layer, come to effects and presets, type in fill, apply this to the logo burn layer. We want to change the colour to grey. Right, so now we want to take our transition layer, edit, duplicate, turn the visual back on. We want to right click that layer, pre-compose it, and we want to call this highlight. If we want to go into highlight composition, select the transition layer, edit, duplicate, and we want to come over to effects and presets, type in invert, apply that to the top layer, and we just want to move the animation forward slightly. So now we've got the essence of the burning line. So we imagine if you lit a bit of paper on the edge where the fire burns, it's got that cinder look as it's burning along. So it's kind of burning across the logo itself. Okay, great. So let's just define that slightly and add a curves adjustment. So let's do layer, new adjustment layer, and add the curves to the adjustment layer. Now I just want to play the RGB slightly, put like an S shape in it, gives you more defined look. Go to the alpha channel, and again the same, maybe bring the alpha up higher and the second point a little bit lower, just giving it more of a sharper look. Great, so let's go back to the burning comp. We want to take the logo black burn layer and we want to duplicate, so edit, duplicate. Now you want to take the logo burn 2 layer, place it to the top and change the fill to white. Then we want to select the highlight layer and change its track matte to Luma matte. Great. Nice. We're starting to get somewhere now. Now what we want to do is select the logo burn 2 layer and the highlight layer, right click, pre-compose, and this we're now going to call fire. We want to change the screen mode to add. Now if you haven't noticed, what that has done is changed the colour more back to its original colour of the logo itself. Now what we want to do is, with your fire layer selected, type in fractal noise and apply fractal noise back to the fire layer. Now don't worry, I know this has come back to this, we're going to tweak the settings over here. So first things first, we want to change the blending mode to multiply. That brings it back to the shape it's meant to be. Now we just want to define this slightly more. So at the moment the fractal type is set to basic. We want to change that to the dynamic twist. Under transform, we want to change the scale to about 20%. We want to change the contrast to about 103, and we want to go negative in the brightness to about -20. Right, now we need to apply some colours to our layer. So what we're going to do is come over to the effects panel, type in Triton. We're going to apply that, and we're going to change the highlights and midtones. So the midtones, you want a darkish orange colour, and for the highlights, a warm yellow colour, maybe a bit lighter. Now for me, I feel as if there's too much burn going on here at the moment, so I'm going to go into the highlight and I'm going to change this. So at the moment it's because it's forward 5 seconds. If I 5 frames should I say, if I bring that back slightly, and now we have more of a thinner line, and we go back to our main comp. As you can see, it's more one line. Now we want to come over to the effects panel again, and we want to type in glow, apply glow, make the glow threshold about 84, make the glow radius about 64 and turn the glow intensity up to about 1.6, and what we want to do is drag the fire layer back slightly. Nice. I'm happy with that so far. Now obviously you don't have to do it exactly like this, alter it yourself. I've learnt this from many different people, from YouTube, thank God for YouTube. And you know, it's playing around with it. It's, you know, what looks right to you. Now obviously for tutorial purposes I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. So don't be scared of it, you know. It's not a bomb, it's not going to explode on you. Just keep playing. And right, so now I think our burn's pretty much there now. We just need to make it look a little bit more realistic. Right now it's very orangey and it looks like a graphic still. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not meant to look completely realistic, but right now I think we could do a little bit more to that. So if we take the fire layer, duplicate it, and then delete all the effects in the top fire, which will leave a white glow, as it were. Just gives it, to me, more of a real fire look. Great, so moving on. Next we need to create some particles. Now some people may not have this plugin, some might, but the overall idea is there. I mean, you have Particle Playground, which you can play with, but what we're going to use today is Trapcode Particular, something worth getting. You can get it as a free trial, hence why I'm using it, to show you what you can use with that stuff. Okay, so first off, what we want to do is just turn our fire layer into a 3D layer. Then we're going to create a new solid layer, new solid, and we'll call this particles. And we're going to come over to the effects and presets, and we're going to type in particular, and we're going to drag that onto the particles. Now if we go down into the emitter, and we're going to change the emitter type to layer. Then what we need to do is go into the layer emitter and change the layer from none to fire 2, which is the one with the 3D layer. So because obviously you've got 2 there, if you're wondering why, it's because it's the second fire that's got the 3D layer set. So select fire 2. Now I don't know if you noticed, but it's just giving us a little dot there, because obviously it's now in a universe space, in Z space. It's a very powerful plugin. So let's play with them settings and see how we can apply this to the fire more. We want to change the layer RGB usage to RGB size vel rot, and then we want to change layer sampling to particle birth time. Now if we go to the emitter particle per second, which is this part here, we need quite a lot, so let's type in about 26,000. It's going to load for a moment. It's building that 3D world of particles. Nice. We want to change the velocity of this down quite low to 35%. Now if we close off the emitter, because it can get daunting if you keep opening up loads and lose where you're at, go to particle. We want to change the size of it, because at the moment they're quite big and it's filling that whole area. They're meant to be little cinders, little hot ambers that are flying away. So let's change the size down to about 2. Let's go down, close the particle off. Let's go into the physics. So how this moves, how it's transforming in front of us. You know, if this was in a natural environment and that was on fire, how would all these ambers, hot ambers, be drifting away? You know, they're going to blow into the air and drift slowly. You know, it is when you look at a fire. So let's go ahead and do that. So in the physics, we want to go down to the air section. We want to turn the gravity into its minuses. So it's minus gravity, so nothing's pulling them ashes down because they're light, they're being lifted up. So we want to change the gravity settings, if I can see it, there we go, to about minus 100. Nice. Now what we want to do is change the wind X to about minus 178, so it's burning from left to right top, and as it's doing that, the wind's blowing it from right to left, pushing it off and up screen. So we'll change that to about minus 178. 176, that'll do. You see it's starting to do that, so it's burning, and as it's cooling it's lifting. I'm gonna evaporate away. Now if we drop down to the turbulent field section, which is in the air section, we want to change the effect position to about 83. We need to scale it down as well, so if we turn the scale down to about 7, what we want to do is apply another effect to the particles, as it were. So we want to go to effects and presets again, like we did at the beginning for the background. Type in ramp and select ramp. Now we want to set start and end points for this as well. So your starting ramp point will be up here, and your end ramp will be down here. Now again, in your effects and presets, we go across and type in tint and apply a tint below the ramp, and we simply just want to change the colours from black to orange, and the white to a warm yellowy colour. Right, so now what you want to do is just add a curves adjustment, work on that slightly, define it a bit more again. So we're going to drop that into the particles. Again, we want to just let's just turn our project down from full resolution to half resolution, just so we can get through this process quicker, and make sure when you export out that you set your active camera back to full resolution. Brilliant, just so we can scrub through a bit faster now without delay. Well, not much delay, should I say. Anyways, I feel like this orange needs to be a bit darker, so I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So now we need to just make it a little bit more dynamic. Right now it's just put one size of these flying hot ambers. So let's duplicate that layer now and change the sizes of them and the random seed so it's moving at a different pace, just giving it more depth of field. Brilliant. So if we go back into particle, we want to change the size to about 4, making them larger. Now obviously they're all in the same position pretty much as the last ones because it's a duplicate of the previous layer. So that's where we're going to change the random seed and see how it changes. If we go into your emitter and go to random seed and just change it slightly so they're moving at a different pace. We want to change this number down certainly to maybe 6,000. So now it's just giving us a variation. Now just to add another depth to it, if we press Ctrl D on the particle layers and on the top one, if we go over to the effects and presets and type in fast blur and apply that to the top particles. Repeat edge pixels blur it up about 20%. Just change that tint colour there slightly, so obviously they're bigger particles, so you imagine, obviously if you think about it logically, the smaller fibres are going to cool down quicker, so the bigger fibres would be hotter for longer, so it makes sense to, you know, have them bigger ones looking more orange, more hot. Right, so now if we just turn off the top particle for a second, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new solid. So we press Ctrl plus Y, and we're going to call this ambience. And this is the ambient for the particles. What we're going to do again is we're going to just apply particular again to that. So type in particular, apply that to that layer. We're going to change the emitter type to box. We're going to change the X size to say 2000. So this is like the fibres that are floating all around, as it were. Now that'll do. We'll do the Y again until we're covering the whole screen. It's just 1100 there, and again the Z space. Now that's what's in front of the logo and what's behind what we're seeing necessarily, so it's in 3D space. Turn that up. Now particles per second we want to turn right down. I think maybe 20. Let's also turn the velocity down to about 20. Close the emitter, go into the physics, go into air, and we want to play with the wind X, Y and the Z again. So we'll set the wind X to about say 74. We'll turn the wind Y to about minus 93 actually, I think. Yeah. We'll change the effect position to 113. Which is under turbulence field. Now what we want to do, if we just go to particles and the other particle layers, select the tint layer, Control C, go back to ambient, close off the particle, Control V, and we just want to change the highlight colour back again to like a yellow. And turn it down slightly. Let's add a fast blur to that as well. Let's type fast blur, apply below the tint, repeat the edge pixels. Nice. Turn that brightness back up now. Turn your other particle layers back on. If we scrub forward a bit to where the animation starts happening, press T on the keyboard under ambient, drop the opacity down to 0, turn the stopwatch on, move forward slightly, turn that back up to 100. So now last thing we need to do, just because obviously we want this to burn on, is come down to your logo burn layer now and just switch that off. And now your logo will burn on screen. Okay, that's it. So I hope that's been helpful for you, as it was for me. And if you enjoyed doing this tutorial and you want to learn more of what I might be learning, like and subscribe to my page, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.